The Waterstone estate contract crumbled in my sister's manicured grip as she read the ownership line 3 times. "That's impossible," Mia whispered, her pregnancy announcement from 5 minutes ago forgotten as she stared at the papers that should have shown her name, but instead revealed mine. Behind her, our mother's face went from smug victory to ash-white shock. But the real question was whether they'd noticed the other contracts in my briefcase, the ones showing I didn't just own this venue. "Harper." Mom's voice cracked, her hand reaching for the mahogany desk in the venue's private office. "What is this?" I leaned back in the leather chair, my chair in my office in my venue, and watched their world rearrange itself. 5 minutes ago, they'd ambushed me at what they thought was a routine wedding planning meeting. Mia had touched her still flat belly, proclaimed her pregnancy trumped my engagement, and demanded I surrender my dream venue because babies are more important than parties. Now she held proof that the game had changed long before they decided to play it. "It's a deed," I said simply. "Amazing what you can learn in public records if you actually look." My wedding planner, Grace, stood quietly by the door, her tablet clutched to her chest. She'd asked the perfect question at the perfect moment. The reveal she'd helped me orchestrate was working exactly as planned. But we weren't done yet. "You bought Waterstone?" Mia's voice pitched high, disbelief warring with fury. "With what money? You're a freelance graphic designer." "Was," I corrected. Past tense. The January sunlight streaming through the estate's floor-to-ceiling windows caught Mia's 3-carat engagement ring. The one she'd gotten 6 months after my engagement, with a stone just slightly larger than mine. Everything with Mia was like that. My Harvard acceptance prompted her sudden desire for Yale. My promotion at 25 sparked her MBA pursuit. My engagement to David triggered her whirlwind romance with Preston. And now my wedding venue had become her pregnancy announcement stage. "I don't understand," Mom said, sinking into one of the consultation chairs. "The Waterstone estate cost $6.8 million. "I'm aware." "Harper, stop playing games." Mia snapped, her hand still protectively over her belly. The same gesture she'd used when announcing she was too stressed to help with Dad's funeral arrangements, leaving everything to me. "Whatever joke this is." "The joke," I interrupted, "was thinking you could steal my wedding venue by having Mom secretly change the booking." I pulled out my phone, scrolled to the email I'd been saving. January 15th. Mom emails Waterstone's old management. "Please transfer the Morrison Blake wedding reservation to Morrison Winters." "That's your married name, right, Mia?" Mom's face went red. "I was trying to help." "Help?" I laughed, short and sharp. "Like you helped when you told David's mother I was having second thoughts. Like you helped when you suggested to my bridesmaids that maybe Mia should be maid of honor instead of my best friend." "You're being dramatic," Mia said, but her voice wavered. She was starting to understand this wasn't my usual pattern of frustrated surrender. Dramatic was announcing your pregnancy at my venue tour. Strategic was buying the venue before you could steal it. I stood, smoothing my dress, not the casual sundress they expected for a Saturday planning session, but a crisp business suit. "Grace, should we tell them about the other properties?" "Other properties?" Mom's voice went faint. Grace stepped forward, professional smile in place. "Ms. Morrison owns a portfolio of 7 wedding venues across New England. Waterstone is the flagship property." The silence that followed was beautiful. All those years of being the responsible daughter. The one who handled Dad's estate while Mia was too emotional. The one who organized every family gathering while Mia had work conflicts. The one who remembered birthdays and appointments and medications while Mia was perpetually overwhelmed. They'd mistaken reliability for weakness. Confused quiet competence with lack of ambition. "When did you manage?" "The first purchase was 3 years ago," I said, "right after Dad died, when you were too busy with your Vegas grief trip to help with the estate." I paused, let that sink in. Turns out he left me more than just funeral arrangements to handle. Dad, the only one who'd ever really seen me, had pulled me aside at my college graduation and pressed a key into my palm. "Safety deposit box," he'd whispered, "for when you're ready to stop playing small." Inside had been account numbers, property deeds, and a letter. "Your sister shines loud, but you shine long. Build something they can't take away." The freelance design business was real, I continued. It was also a perfect cover for property investment. Amazing how much you can learn about the wedding industry when you're designing marketing materials for every major venue in the state. You've been lying to us, Mom accused. No, you've been assuming. There's a difference. I pulled out more papers. Mia, remember when you needed that small loan for your wedding? $50,000? Who did you borrow it from? Her face went pale. You said it was from your savings. From my company. Properly documented with interest, which you haven't paid, by the way. 8 months overdue. I slid the paperwork across. Default terms include acceleration of the full balance. You can't. Can't what? Run a business, make investments, protect myself from family members who take and take and take. I thought of every holiday where my contributions were forgotten. Every achievement minimized. Every success attributed to luck while Mia's were celebrated as brilliance. Hopper, sweetheart. Mom tried her manipulation voice, the one that had worked when I was 12 and she needed me to give up my bedroom for Mia's anxiety attacks. The same one from when I was 18 and she asked me to delay college because Mia needed support through her first breakup. Family doesn't keep score. You're right, I agreed. Family doesn't, which is why I stopped considering you family the day you called David to suggest he should reconsider proposing to someone so career-focused. The accusation hung between us like a blade. I never, Mom started. December 3rd, 4:47 p.m. I have the recording. I pulled out my tablet, hit play. Mom's voice filled the room, poisonous and clear. I'm just saying, David, Harper's always been so independent. Mia's more the marrying type. Knows how to make a man feel needed. David's voice responded, controlled but angry. With all due respect, Mrs. Morrison, I don't need Harper to need me. I need her to love me, which she does. This conversation is over. I stopped the recording. He told me immediately, of course. We've been documenting everything since then. Documenting? Mia's voice cracked. Every slight, every manipulation, every attempt to undermine my relationship, my career, my life. I pulled out a folder inches thick. Text messages about how I'm too ambitious. Emails suggesting vendors work with Mia instead. Phone calls to my colleagues about my emotional instability after Dad's death. That was concern. That was sabotage. But please tell me more about how family doesn't keep score. Grace cleared her throat delicately. Should I mention the transfer clause? What transfer clause? Mia demanded. I smiled. Dad's letter in my mind. The one that states, any venue booking obtained through fraud or misrepresentation is automatically void with a penalty fee of triple the booking cost. You can't charge us. Not you, Mom. She's the one who impersonated me to change the booking. I did the math aloud. Waterstone's premium package is $45,000 times 3. $135,000. Due within 30 days or I press charges for fraud. I gathered my papers. Though I'm willing to waive it under one condition. What? Mia asked desperately. You both sign a formal agreement to cease all contact with me, David, and any future children we may have. No family gatherings, no social media connections, no concerned calls to mutual acquaintances. Complete separation. You want us to sign away our family? Mom's tears were starting. They'd worked when I was younger. I want you to sign away your access to me. There's a difference. What about your wedding? Mia asked, still clutching her stomach. I'm supposed to be a bridesmaid. Were, I corrected. Past tense. I looked at her. Really looked. Beneath the designer dress and perfect makeup was someone I'd never really known. Did you ever even want to be in my wedding? Or was it just another thing to compete over? Her silence was answer enough. I'm pregnant, she said finally, as if it explained everything. You can't do this to a pregnant woman. Congratulations, I said flatly. May your child learn boundaries faster than you did. Hopper. Mom gasped. That's cruel. Cruel is announcing a pregnancy at someone else's wedding venue tour. Cruel is spending 28 years making your daughter feel less than because she doesn't perform her achievements for applause. I stood. Grace moved to open the door. You have 48 hours to decide. Sign the papers and walk away clean or don't sign and face the consequences. Either way, my wedding happens in 6 months in my venue without either of you. What will people say? Mom's last card, the one that had controlled me for years. The truth probably, that you tried to steal your daughter's wedding venue and discovered she'd already bought it. Though I doubt you'll be advertising that story at the country club. I was almost at the door when Mia spoke one last time. When did you become so cold? I turned back, seeing them clearly for perhaps the first time. Mom, who'd raised us to compete instead of connect. Mia, who'd learned that love meant winning and attention meant everything. I became cold the day I realized you'd let me freeze before sharing your warmth, I said. But I learned to build my own fire. That's the difference between us, Mia. You take heat. I create it. Outside, Grace waited by my car. Not the sensible Toyota they expected, but a new Mercedes paid for in cash. Another secret. Another assumption shattered. That went well, she said diplomatically. 3 years of planning, I admitted. Ever since Dad's letter. The pregnancy announcement was unexpected. I laughed, surprising myself. Was it? She got engaged 6 months after me. Planned her wedding for 2 months after mine before graciously moving it. The pregnancy was right on schedule. What if they don't sign? I thought about David waiting at our real venue tour, a private estate in Vermont that made Waterstone look modest. About the life we were building away from toxic patterns and performative love. About the family we'd choose instead of the one I'd been born into. Then they don't sign and I continue living the life I built while they weren't paying attention. My phone buzzed. David, how did it go? I texted back. They know about the properties. Mom's fraud is documented. Papers delivered. His response was immediate. Proud of you. Vermont venue is perfect. Your dad would have loved it. He was right. Dad would have loved seeing what his quiet daughter had built with his final gift. Not just property or wealth but freedom. The freedom to choose who deserved access to my life. 2 days later, the papers arrived at my lawyer's office. Both signatures notarized and witnessed. No personal note, no attempt at reconciliation, just compliance. I filed them away and went back to planning my wedding, the real one, with the family I'd chosen. Friends who'd celebrated my quiet successes, David's family who defended me against my mother's poison, colleagues who'd become sisters. 6 months later, I walked down an aisle lined with people who actually knew me. Who knew I owned 7 venues, but had chosen this small Vermont inn for its history. Who knew I'd turned Dad's inheritance into an empire, but still designed wedding invitations for the joy of creating beauty. Mia had her baby, a girl, according to mutual friends. Posted hundreds of photos on social media, each caption a performance of perfect motherhood. I hoped she'd learn to love her daughter for who she was, not who she could pretend to be. But that wasn't my concern anymore. My concern was the man waiting at the altar, whose proposal had triggered my family's final attempt at sabotage, who'd stood by me as I built boundaries brick by brick, who'd never once suggested I should dim my light to make others more comfortable. You look beautiful, David whispered as I reached him. I look free, I corrected. And finally completely I was. The Waterstone estate still hosts weddings every weekend. I've never set foot in it again. Grace manages it along with the others. But sometimes when couples tour it, they ask about the owner. She's someone who learned the difference between being used and being useful, Grace tells them. Someone who discovered that the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. They nod like they understand, but most don't. Most people can't imagine buying the ground someone tries to pull out from under you. Can't fathom turning family betrayal into business opportunity. But some can. Some hear the story and recognize themselves. The reliable ones, the responsible ones, the ones who give until they're empty while others take until they're full. To them, Grace hands a business card. Mine. Not for the venue business, but for the consulting firm I started. The one that helps women turn their talents into empires while their families aren't paying attention. Because Dad was right. Some of us shine loud, demanding attention and applause. But others shine long, building light that lasts after the spotlights fade. I built my light on the ashes of their assumptions, and it burns too bright now for them to ever put it out.